Okay, as you can see here, we're going to do setting your host name. Now I'm already logged on as administrator to my VM, and you can see here administrator at, and it's got this weird host name. So we want to change that and make that a host name that's a decent host name. So what I want you to do is use your first name and then some other name if you want, and it has to be PG-13. The reason I want your first name is because I have to manage all of these and I want to know right away whose computer it is. So there are some specifications in the document, still limitations, but I'm going to call mine Teacher Z, dawsoncollege.qc.ca. So I need to be an administrator, so the first thing I do is use sudo, and next week we're going to talk in more depth about sudo. But if you give it a -i, it will switch you into root. And notice the difference in the prompt. So regular user has a $ prompt. Root user has a £sign prompt. That should always be kind of a warning in the corner of your eye. This is a problem. We could do a lot of damage here. So we use the concept of least privilege with root, and we only do what we need to as root, and then we switch out of it. So first thing I'm going to do is take a backup copy of this. It's always a good idea to take a backup copy. And here what I'm using is host name. So I'm using an absolute path to go all the way up to Etsy, but I'm using a local path to copy it into my local working directory. So I'm going to call it hostname.back. So get in the habit when you're going to make some changes of making a backup of whatever you're going to be changing. It's just going to help you in the long run. So most of the things that I asked you to do, they might seem might not understand even when I explain them. They're to make your life easier. So I have a backup copy. So now I'm going to run hostname control. And I can use tab completion on any bash system, any bash shell. So if I use tab completion, I hit host, I hit tab twice, and it shows me all the possibilities. So I want to use hostname control. So these are the commands. So hostname control gives me the host name. I'm not sure what the icon name is. It's running on a VM, the machine ID, the boot ID, where it comes from, the operating system, kernel, and the architecture. So what I want to do is I want to use this command to change it to my new name. So if I look at the man page for this, I can see there are a bunch of options, and you can read this in more detail. But what I want to do is I want to use this. I want to set host name. So the status was the default. That's what we just saw. So I'm going to use it, hostname control, and I'm going to give it my name, set host name. And then it's going to be teacher. So you should use your name. I'm using a generic name. It can be it's your first name. It doesn't have to be your whole name. I don't want it to be huge, but your first name first and then something else if you want. So this should change the host name. Notice it doesn't change in my prompt, but let's see what happens with hostname control. There we go. It's been changed. So if I log off and log back in, it should be changed.